Cloud. And admit everybody. Hello, hello. I'm trying to think of like my holiday songs I would sing to you guys, but they are kind of Christmas
Winter
oriented.
Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland. That's a good one. That's not either way. But oh, I was thinking of Let It Snow actually. That was the first one I thought of. This one is not necessarily like it is Christmas, but it's not my favorite one is Blue Christmas. That's like my favorite. Like actual Elvis being sad song. That's my holiday, you guys. I don't know if anybody else.
Oh, that's
David, are you an Elvis fan?
I am and I'm not.
That's totally fair.
Yeah. I I feel like he's one of he's so he was so and novel. He was so creative. He was so unique. He was so different,
Yeah.
and amazingly talented
Yeah.
that I really enjoy listening to him just for that. I also love the recording techniques that were used back in those days. I've had a few experiences. I've worked with some of the old time musicians over the years and gotten to mix some of the great, like the big names, and pulled out from listening to Elvis some of the ways to mix, and it's been fabulous. So yeah, I love listening to Elvis for all of those reasons. Um, if it was just a regular tune, like it wasn't novel or he wasn't who he is, um, then no, they're not my favorite songs necessarily, but I appreciate them so much. So I'm a fan of his production. I'm a fan of his creativity. I'm a fan of his just the whole concept of who he was and what he did for the industry, but not a fan of the actual song itself. So it's sort of weird. Like they're never the songs I walk around singing to myself.
This is a proper response from an engineer, I would say. Definitely. That's the
Or a stupid long response for whatever. But there you go.
I like Johnny
feel.
Cash's version of it.
Yeah,
John.
well, he's another like just fantastic voice, Johnny Cash. I mean, you love it or you hate it, but like a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
Um, but the depth of Johnny Cash's voice and Elvis and yeah, but they were recorded before any of the digital stuff is out, and techniques were just different back then. And it's the few times I've gotten to pull out those techniques, it's been amazing, like really, really amazing. And when I've mixed albums for some of these great old names, um, I haven't had to do anything. Like things were just recorded so well back in the day. The rooms were tuned really well, and the performances were great. And yeah, I mean, I could mix an album in a day, and it'd be amazing. Whereas, if those were the days before the expression "fix it in the mix" was ever invented. You know what I mean? So it's cool. And now everything's recorded digitally, which is great. I love it, and you can undo, which is great, and you can save your backups and stuff, and you can fix things down the road. So just everything's very different now.
I'm
It's
even there.
I prefer it now. I mean, it's cool to use the old techniques, but I think now makes a lot more sense.
I'm even there with photo and film now. If someone's recording me, I'm like, it's okay if I don't look great. You can fix it in post, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. Okay, what is up? We've gotten right into. I love how I was like, oh, I want to sing a holiday song, and then I was like, what song is it? And then we got into talking about productions of albums from our recording master and truly prior exclusive music audio engineer David Goldberg. So, hey everybody, welcome, welcome. We are, boy, it is the end of 2021, and I feel like it's still 2020. So, who knows how old I am anymore? But oh, Dina, you're the best in the chat. Hey, everybody. So, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna also, Dina not in her booth. Thrilling. Like, I know, life is like wild. So,
Yeah.
my name is Siobhán O'Loughlin. I am your host for our last Edge Studio panel of the year, our Ask Me Anything session. It is just me and David. We are doing a fun thing today where we're going to only answer every question in top 10. And by we, I mean David. If he really desperately needs more, I'll try to help, but who knows? That's going to be exciting if he does that. So we want to try to focus questions around top 10, and it can be 2021 related, or voiceover in 2021 related, or through David's 30 plus years in this industry related. We're gonna angle things that way, and if you feel like it won't really work, ask it anyway, and we'll just make David squirm as he tries to figure it out. So, for your viewing pleasure, if this is your first Zoom, which, you know what, good for you if this is your first Zoom, the top right corner, if you're using this on a desktop, you got a little view button. You can do speaker, you can do gallery, you can pin me, you can pin David. It's really your Zoom experience. Do it as you will. I recommend the gallery because I like to see y'all's beautiful faces. I am continuously letting people into the space. Our chat is where we like to hang out. So give me some jokes, make me laugh, tell me how you're doing, tell me your favorite holiday tune if it's not Blue Christmas. You can also, we can do this secularly as well, and also drop your questions. All of your voiceover questions are relevant and important for us today, and truly, I'm super happy that it's just me and David, so hopefully we can get kind of more things answered this time around. And we are just in the spirit of the end of the year, kind of doing a series of top 10 responses. And we do say the entire Charlie Brown Christmas jazz album is classic. It's so good. I don't know, it just feels cozy. I absolutely agree with you, Bob. You know what you're talking about. Okay, let's get into it. My fellow Towson alumni in the house, Terry, is asking me, David, what are the top 10 things that should... Oh, wait, David, do you want to just say hello and how you're doing? We've already talked about music, but are you good today? Anything?
Yeah, hello, and how am I doing? I said it. Yeah, no. It's great to be here. I love these things, and thank you all for joining us. And the idea of the top 10 is very exciting. I think
Yeah,
it's super fun. Make
I
me
like
squirm.
I like it too. I like it as our big, seasonal send off here. And we're on. Okay, so David, what are the top 10 things that should, ooh, dealer's choice. I'm the dealer though. So recipient's choice. David, top 10 things that should or should not be on your website. I guess you can go either way there.
I think it's more fun to do what should not be. No,
Right.
but it's more beneficial. Maybe it'd be more fun for me to say what should not be, but I think it'd be more helpful for everyone else if I do if I talk about what should be. Maybe I'll do 5 and 5. How does that work, Siobhán?
I think we could. Or drop in the chat if you want should or should not right now. And we'll
That
do
might take too long. Okay, I'm calling it 5-5. Okay, 5 things that should be on your website. Number 1, demos up front and center. Guys, don't put it on your 2nd page or 8th page. Don't have a link to it. Put it up front, top of the page. I mean, after your name or whatever, but after the header. But make it easy for someone to find your demos. That's the number 1 reason why someone goes to your website. Number 2, make it easy for the recipient, whoever that is, who is looking at your website. Make it easy for them to trust you. Put some quotes. How awesome you are to work with, whether a quote is from a client, a friend, a mother, someone. Put some quotes. No one will hire you if they don't trust you. Next, back it up with something. Back it up with testimonials, photographs of happy clients smiling with their arm around you or whatever. Back it up with logos of companies that you've worked with, training facilities you've worked with. Back it up with something. Number 4, put photos of you working. Let people see you as a person. I believe that more people will hire you if they see pictures of you working. Well, I was about to say something, but that can go on the next list. Number 5, contact information. Put it everywhere. Everywhere on your website. Top of the page, bottom of the page. Don't make it hard to find. Okay. 5 things that should not go on your website. Photos of you doing anything else other than working. No one cares about if you are playing Frisbee with your dog or on your boat or on vacation in Cancun. It doesn't help you, with rare exception. I should say there is a rare exception for everything, but it's a pretty rare exception. The second thing to not put on your website, large font in italics that looks like it's a homemade website. Third thing, oh wow, my goodness, testimonials that have nothing to do with voiceover. Number 4, don't put on graphics simply for the sake of putting on graphics. If there's no point in something, I think it's pointless. I think that the cleaner overall, I think that the cleaner the website, the less busy the website, the more professional you come across. I'm not a usability expert. I know actually one is on his website and they may want to weigh in on that, but I think people who have voice actors who have lots of colors and graphics and rainbows and all sorts of things all over the place, it might clutter up the website. And all someone wants to do is hear your demo, trust you, and be able to find you. Siobhán, am I up to number 4 of what not to put on your website?
You're doing, yeah, I think you've done 5 actually.
Oh, good. Let's move on. Phew. I
Let's
was
move
about
on.
to start squirming. Okay.
I want to just quickly echo my favorite thing that he said was random graphics. I worked with a student who had like trees that he had drawn because he was like, oh, I drew these things and I like nature. And they were like symbols by different parts of his page. And I was like, this has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't look good. I can barely tell what it is. And I don't know why it's there. It's clutter. You may like it, but you need to talk to people about like, hey, I really like this thing. Does this make sense? Because chances are, just because you like it, it's a very low reason for it to be on your site.
Yeah, the question to ask other people is, do you think a client would hire me based upon this? It's not about if you like it, it's about whether a client will trust you and want to hire you.
I love these cold hard truths. This is very, very good. Okay, let's go to Michael. Michael, this is great. I'm here for the top 10 things that get you kicked out of the booth that you promised last time.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that. Bad breath. You're so out of the booth. I don't know if it's fair to call this number 2, but any bad scent. So maybe they are one and the same. But smell. I don't mean to discourage anyone who may smoke. That's not my intention here. But if you smell of cigarette smoke or whatever smoke, it's not good. Number 3, cologne, strong perfume. Maybe these all fall under the same category, but smells like these, like bad breath and smoke and whatever, they stay in those booths. They absorb into the foam panels, and the next person walks in there and they smell it. And as the initiating voice actor, you're not going to be welcomed back into that studio. And I will tell you that we have in our database of voice actors, we have a field for our eyes only, in which we write down, don't hire this person because of this reason. And smell is up there. It really is, because it lingers and it's bad. Don't show up to the studio with greasy hair because it gets all over the headphones and then the engineer has to clean it off. No one wants to clean off someone else's greasy headphones, right? The chance that they hire you back, I mean, even if you buy them new headphones, I don't think they're going to hire you back. So I'm not sure if I'm up to now number 3 or number 5, if that the first 3 smells count as number 1. Number 5, someone's saying. What gets you booted out? Being late, easy, right? Being unprepared, that would be number 7. Number 8, not asking good questions. It won't necessarily get you thrown out of the studio, but it won't help you get invited back. Ask good questions. Show you're vested in the project. Quick illustration of this. In the old days, years ago, when we had auditions in person, like face-to-face auditions, one voice actor would walk in, and you could tell that they were concerned about something. They didn't look confident or comfortable, and I'd say to them, "You okay? Do you have any questions before you go on audition?" No, I'm okay. Then they get halfway through reading the script and they mispronounce the word, and we say, "Hey, you've mispronounced the word." They'll say, "Oh, I wasn't sure." And I'm thinking, well, if you weren't sure, why didn't you ask? And another voice actor will walk in and say, "Hey, thank you so much for calling me in. I have a bunch of questions. Is now a good time to ask? Because I really want to make you look good in front of your client. I have some pronunciation questions and a few other questions. When's a good time to ask?" That's the voice actor who shows that they care about the project, about making us, our studio, look good, about pleasing the clients. So ask questions. So in other words, not asking questions will not help you get hired back. Being unorganized won't help you get hired back. Forgetting how much you charge, or big one, maybe one of the biggest ones that will get you kicked out of the studio, is asking the wrong question to the wrong person. If Edge Studio hires you, a voice actor, and we say we're going to pay you X dollars for a job, and then at the session you say to our client, hey, so I'm getting paid X dollars for this job, but now you're adding on more script. Can I get more? That's not good. If we are the ones who hire you, then we are the ones you come to ask the questions. So think hard about who you ask the right questions to. All of this still happens. It's just not face to face anymore, but all of the same principles occur. I don't know how many I'm at. Sorry. Is anyone else keeping track?
I think you're on 7, David. Number
No.
7
Okay. I'm going to start squirming now. So this is what things that get you kicked out of the studio?
of the booth.
Bringing bad food and not cleaning up after yourself. Okay. Like smelly food. You don't want to open up a can of tuna fish in the middle of the waiting area, and not, maybe it's a different thing, but not cleaning up after yourself. That's bad, guys. We've had, oh, I thought of something funny. We've had voice actors who just leave the place a mess, papers strewn about, pencils, shaving. They'll sharpen their pencil and they'll leave the shavings on the desk and stuff. And here's one: not being cautious of the equipment. Don't tap the microphone like you see in movies. It's not fun for the engineer. It's not good for our speakers, and that will get you booted out of the studio. Okay, I'm at number 10.
I love all of this. I would also say, David, don't you think when you finish your recording and they hang the headphones on the mic, like
Yeah. So number 11. Thank you, Siobhán. Yeah, there's a reason why put the headphones back. Let me say this differently. Put the headphones back where they were when you got them. Put everything back where it was when you got it, including the headphones. If you put the headphones on top of the microphone, if you hang them from the microphone, you're likely to get feedback, right? And because that's the sound that goes into the microphone goes through all of the equipment, comes out of the headphones. So it goes out of the headphones, right back into the microphone, goes through the loop again, out of the headphones, back into the microphone again. And that loop is that feedback, or the feedback loop, as we call it. So yeah, good,
this
very good point.
this is all so good. I feel definitely when I've gone into spaces, I'll literally say things like, "May I adjust the music stand?" Or I'll literally
Oh,
like,
great one. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and you kind of ask that
Don't
stuff.
move. Yep. Love
They
it. That is a number 12. Siobhán is rocking with the additions here. The extra credit. Yeah. Don't move stuff around. I might be able to go through like 100 things that get you kicked out. The worst I ever saw, guys, was, and appropriately speaking about the old time equipment, as we did 10 minutes ago, back in the day, we were mixing on 2-inch analog tape. It's a really big spool of tape, and it weighed probably 20 or 30 pounds. And we had a client who took their cup of coffee or water, some plastic cup with a beverage in it, and they balanced it on top of the center tape spool. Now, the tape spool was about the size of a cup of coffee, like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches in diameter. And they put it there, and we watched them put it down very carefully so it just wouldn't spill onto the tape, which we'd been working on for like 6 months. And then as soon as they turned, we carefully picked it up, moved it, and said goodbye. Yeah.
it's
Take care about it's not your equipment, you know.
These were all so good. And I want to just echo, I think it was point number 5, which was one of my favorites, I think, was the asking good questions. And no one's ever going to judge you if you're like, hey, checking in on the pronunciation of this word. Like David said, they will be thankful for it. It's good to do that before you start recording. And then you say, oh, I didn't know how to say that thing. It just makes you seem unprepared. And good to ask. Just like we're like, hey, come to these Zooms and ask us questions. It's like the same thing they teach us in school, but it's no one's going to be mad at you for checking in on how to say words.
But as
Um,
long as you ask at the right time and the right person,
yes, like your
and
director.
ask it with confidence, guys. Don't ask a question sounding like you're all nervous, or stressed out, and don't be sweating when you ask a question, even if it's something that you should know. I've seen voice actors say, you know, I should know this word. I'm sorry, just whatever, for whatever reason, I can't remember how to pronounce it. Or gosh darn it, the client told me how to say their name 3 times. I should have written it down. I'm sorry I didn't, but can you remind me? And this time I'll write it down. That's fine. That's cool. Don't sweat it out. It's totally fine.
Totally fine. This is a follow up question to this, David, and I don't know if you want to do this in top tens or how you want to respond, but I think it's worth saying from Bradley. Speaking of sense in this sadly continuing pandemic now with Omicron, how do the studios reduce COVID transmission? And is everyone in the studio, as well as voice actors, are they all required to show proof of vaccination?
Yeah, I can only speak on our studio, and that's what we're doing at our studio. We are open right now, but we have a very limited staff. We only have typically 2 people in our office. We have an office manager and one engineer at a time, possibly two engineers at a time. And that's about it. Clients come in, we space them out. Everyone wears masks. We are cleaning headphones at the end of each use. Hopefully they're not grease laden. We're doing what we can. And in case the question is about to come up, as it often does, I don't know when we will open back fully. Every time I think I should finally pull it and pull the plug and say I think it's time to open up, then something else happens in the world of COVID, and I will always value the health of my employees more than the actual business itself. So right now we're essentially closed. I mean, barely opened, two, three people in the studio at a time, and that's it.
And I want to clarify, the openness is for production clients and demo recordings, but not for coaching.
Yes, correct.
We are coaching.
Good point.
For the present. For the present. Okay. Thank you very much. Here we go from Clark. Top 10 bits of advice when submitting to an agent.
Yeah, good one. Wow. Many of the things that I've said already are going to come out here in this top 10. Be confident. Be comfortable talking about things. Be open to exploration with the client. Okay. I think these are these three things sound like they could be one and the same, but I think they're really different. Let me talk about each one very briefly. Be comfortable. Just make sure you're at ease, whether it's in writing or email, email form, or in person, or over the phone, or Zoom, whatever. Be comfortable. Okay. Show you're relaxed, because if you appear in any way nervous, stressed out, anxious, then your voice will probably go up and register. You won't sound as your voice will go up and register. You'll speak more quickly. You may not pronounce your words as well, and then that's a bad impression to convey to a prospective agent. So be comfortable. Trust yourself. Second thing I said was be confident in your questions. Be confident in any answer you give. Think about the questions that may be thrown your way, and be confident when you answer them. If a question comes up about money, talk openly about it. It's okay. Everyone cares about money, and it is what it is. You got to talk about it. So answer questions clearly. Don't shy away from anything. And that third thing was be open for exploration. I think that this is a key thing for number 3. You're beginning a relationship with an agent, but you should be exploring whether or not it makes sense for both of you to work together. They need you, you need them. They could be coming to you, seeking voice actors, or you could be going to them, offering your service as a voice actor. It can go both ways. It does go both ways. Sometimes a new agency will actually go out there and solicit voice actors. At this point, you're just exploring whether or not it makes sense. So just have an open discussion with them. Other things, keep your letters very, very brief. I'm not sure if I could say enough varies there, okay? Short, succinct, small paragraphs. Next thing, compliment. Never begin a letter like that without a compliment of some sort. Hey, saw you on the web. You look amazing. Or it looks like you've done some great work. Something. Come up with something to grab their attention. Number 6, if I'm counting correctly, get rid of the dear sir or dear madame or dear sirs. None of those work very well. In fact, they kind of suck. Historically at Edge Studio, interestingly enough, of a woman, a female, has always run our production department, going back, I think, until at least 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I think from the very onset, the first time I hired a production manager, it has always been a woman. And when they receive emails that say dear sirs, that is not a good thing for them. So be open, call, get a name, get a first name, keep it casual, keep it friendly. Talk to some other voice actors who they represent and find out how they like to be, what they like to be called. Just do your homework. I would actually call that the 7th thing. Do your homework. Research the agency before you contact them. Have a lot of information about them. How long they've been around, who has run that organization, what kind of work they've done, have they transitioned, have they moved, what clients do they have, what clients did they lose, why did they lose those clients, which clients did they pick up. Get all of this stuff. Spend an hour, 2 hours researching. Hire an intern to do some investigation work for you, because when you have an open discussion, an initial discussion with them, something is bound to come up in conversation, and you can pull one of those little data facts, right? Oh yeah, like that time, I think it was like in the late 90s, like I think your client XYZ left for this reason, and that was really cool how like you turned it around and got that other client back or something. It just shows that you care, that you're vested in getting work from them. Was that number 8 or 9 or 7 or 8? I'm sorry. Where am I? I
I
know I
feel
need a
like
few more.
I feel like we're on number 7, right?
7. Okay. Number 8, when contacting an agency, I would I would think hard about whether you contact a local, like a small agency, or a national or an international one. Um, just base that upon your experience, upon your comfort level. Start small, build up sometimes. I would do more research, more homework. I would speak with voice actors who are represented by that agent and find out what they think, what they like about being represented by that agent, what they dislike about it, and do your homework on that as well. Um, Oh, good one. Number 10. Actually, I have 2 more. Wow. Um, when you send in your first audition, always remember that your goal is not to produce a great sounding voiceover. Your goal is to make the agent sound great or to look great in front of their clients. So work openly, comfortably, honestly with the agent and say, anything you want to give me, any direction you'd like to give me, I'd like to help you look good." Right. So maybe they'll say, well, this client does like a faster tempo, or they do like this. Do that homework. Ask those questions to the agent. Okay. When you submit your first audition for them, even if it's just a test audition, follow up. Make sure you follow up with them. Okay. So we're going to number 11 here. Sorry. Follow up with them and say, like, look, I sent it in. Contact them a day later. Don't wait a week. Contact them a day later and say, how is it? Does it work for you? Do you think your client will like this? Do you have any recommendations for future auditions? Be positive. Assume that they're going to bring you in under under their wings, and follow up, because agents are busy. Everyone's busy at work. It's hard to follow up. So do the work. Okay. Don't let something elapse. Don't procrastinate. Be proactive and go out there and get them. Okay. There you go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, David. It definitely, like I was talking in my social media class the other night, it's like all marketing is like, hey, I'm here. And they're like, okay, you're there. And then you're like, hey, just reminding you that I'm here. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're here. And then you're like, hey, I'm just reminding you about that reminder. And they're like, oh, right, I was going to call you, and it's like, and when you talk to marketing specialists, they're like, all we are is like reminding people. Like, it's like,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you need to make sure that you stay top of mind with them. But they have a lot of things top of mind. And so how will you be top of mind the actual moment that they need you? That's what you're working towards. So if you contact them once, the chance that they need your voice at that particular moment is like 1 in a nil, right? 1 in a million. But if you contact them enough, you'll stay top of mind. And eventually when they do need you, then they will remember you.
so good. So, so good, everyone. Thank you for all of this. Um, David, top 10 things to do. If you have follow up questions, my people, just drop them in the chat so we can take care of that. But top 10 from Amber, things to do, or not to do when
Here comes
auditioning.
a 5 and 5. Okay.
Okay. Okay, 5 and 5.
5 things to do when auditioning.
Yes.
Follow the rules, guys. It shocks me to this day how the percentage, the overly large percentage of voice actors who don't follow the rules, slating guidelines, what to read, give us 1 take only, give us 3 takes, put a second of space between each take, put your last name first name last at the end of the audition, say these call numbers in the middle between the 2 takes, whatever it is, name your file this, make sure it's not over 30 seconds or it's under 30 seconds, whatever it is. Probably about 1/3 of auditions are not specific enough. The voice actor has not followed the rules, and I mean it's dumb. It's such a strong word to use. It is a 4-letter word, but it is dumb. It's so easy to follow. If you think you have a hard time following directions because you just are distracted, that's fine. We all get distracted. So have someone else monitor your auditions. Let them review it. It's not hard. Give it to someone else who lives in your home and say, look, here's what they asked for. Here's what I'm sending them. Let me know if I followed every letter to the T. Second thing to follow, be yourself. Trust your natural voice. Okay. Voice actors get so concerned, so hyper focused on following the direction that the client gives them that they no longer infuse their own personality. And then they sound dry, they sound drab, they sound stilted. And you're never going to get work, or rarely will you get work if you sound like any of those things. So trust your own voice. Take Give your representation, your interpretation of what the client needs. Um, of course, staying within their confounds. I mean, if they say they want it under 30 seconds and you're naturally a slower speaker, don't go above 30 seconds. Make sure you give them the, stay, like I said, within the guidelines, but be yourself. Give your version, your rendition of what it is that they're looking for. Um, be prompt with your auditions. Most agents don't care if you get it in 5 minutes or 5 hours. I mean, there's some leeway. Occasionally they are in a hyper rush, but I would not be more than a day or two late. In general, don't be late. I think I'm mixing now the 5 do's and the 5 don'ts. If you guys can parse it out. For auditions, check, really listen carefully to everything you record from the listener's perspective and not from your own perspective. Let me explain what I mean by this. You may slur 2 words together terribly. And when you listen back to your audition, you won't even recognize it because you know what words are supposed to be said. You've seen those words on a piece of paper or your screen. But someone who's listening has not seen the words. So their brain can't tell them what to listen for. And they will pick up very easily, they will pick up mispronunciations or words that are slurred together. So you may not hear these things, whereas the client will. So what you need to do is listen differently. I think that's really what I'm looking for. Listen differently. Listen from a client's perspective. Next thing, big thing. My goodness, maybe the most important thing for auditions. Consider your audition and how it sounds to every single different person who may be a part of the casting process. This is going to be a lengthy conversation, but here we go. I think hopefully it's helpful to you all. So there are probably a half dozen types of people who will participate in the casting process, and you need to please each one of them. It's very possible, in fact, it's highly likely that not all 6 different types of people will be participating in a single casting audition, but any one of them may be, and you don't know which one of those 6 will be. So you need to make sure you satisfy all of them. Sometimes the casting team is made up of just the studio audio engineer, and the studio audio engineer, they might be listening for plosives and sibilants and background noise issues and relative good sounding audio. The client might be the casting member, and they may not be listening to audio quality nearly as much as the name of their brand, the name of their product. Maybe the casting team is made up of the marketing people. They'll be listening for the message. Is the message being conveyed in the narration or the commercial? Part of the casting process could be the video editor, where they're concerned more about syncing your voice to the visuals. So does your voice match to the timing that the visuals probably will be? You need to think about these things. Maybe the casting team is the copywriter. Well, the copywriter is theoretically put some work into the script writing process, and maybe they've come up with some clever contradictions, some connecting words, something in the beginning of the script that connects to the end of the script, maybe some alliteration somewhere, some fancy words that they sort of created for the script, whatever it is. Make sure you convey their hard work, because if they're part of the casting process and you haven't, then there's not a chance they're going to select you as the voice actor because you're not conveying their hard work. So think about all of the different people who may be participating in the casting process and listen back to it and make sure that you satisfy them all. Another one, focus groups. Quite often before a commercial is recorded, a national commercial, the commercial is played by a focus group. And sometimes the clients will take 3 or 4 favorite auditions and play them to focus groups and say, listen to this commercial one time, and then we'll ask you some questions about it. Well, so a focus group somewhere, a panel of 10 or whatever people listen to a commercial one time, and then the moderator of the focus group is going to say, okay, what was the phone number? If the 10 people in that room say, I don't know, that means that you haven't set the phone number in a clear or memorable enough way to make it register with the listener's brains. So think about the questions that may be posed to a focus group and make sure that someone who listens to that commercial one time would be able to answer them. Okay.
You
I'm
did
losing my
great.
place there. So I think that's more than 5, at least 5. So now how about 5 things to not do on auditions? And I sort of, I mean, it's the opposite of everything I just said. Following directions, not being yourself, getting so caught up on direction that you don't infuse your own personality. I think you could just reverse everything I said, and the auditions, that whole set of 5 questions will be answered.
Good. Good. Okay. Okay. I do have a follow. All right. So this question I'm going to turn into a top 10 question. Okay, David?
Okay, fun.
It's from Brenda, and Brenda says, well, let me rephrase it. Top 10 ways for a person without any voiceover experience to get started in this industry.
Oh, that's a fun question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I'm kidding. So start with an evaluation with someone who knows the business. Don't go to a music studio owner or a friend or your mom, whatever. They think your voice sounds great. Go to someone who really knows the industry, and someone preferably who knows the entire industry, because someone needs to like understand where your voice may fit. An analogy I've used before, and I will repeat it here, is that if you're talking about singing and you're wondering if there's a place for you in the singing world, if you went to someone, an expert singer, but they only know the world of jazz, they may listen to you sing and they say, no, I don't think you're cut out for this. But maybe someone who works in opera, or someone who works in rock, or some other genre, would listen to you and say, yeah, you'd be great at opera, or you'd be great at rock. So go to someone who has some comprehension of all of the different types of work out there, and they can help place you. Next thing, make sure you're the kind of person who has thick skin so you can take direction. Next thing, make sure you're the type of person who will be proactive because you are making your own clients. Make sure you're the type of person who is organized from a business perspective, like you can manage your finances, you can build, you can do a good job, so you come across professionally. Be absolutely certain to consider, when figuring out if and where you belong in this industry, be absolutely certain that you consider not just your voice, but your personal interests. Because if you narrate things that personally interest you, or styles of voiceover script that personally interest you, you generally will do much better, right? When we talk about things that we enjoy, we tend to have more passion in them, and that passion is translated to the ears of the listener. Make sure you consider your lifestyle. This is a big one. Make sure you consider your lifestyle when figuring out if you belong in voiceover, and if so, where. So, for example, if you are a very busy person, I would not suggest going for an audiobook narration, because when you're hired for an audiobook, you may be looking at 6 hours of work per day for the next 2 weeks. And if a client called you today and said, hey, we have a project for you, you need to start right away. Can you devote 6 hours today and tomorrow and then for the next 12 days? If yes, then audiobooks could be great for you. And if no, then don't go for audiobooks. Lots of different genres of this industry have unique characteristics. So make sure, again, you work with someone who understands the industry and who can help you figure out whether or not you belong in the industry, and if so, where, or which genres could be best for you. I have no idea what number I'm on, sorry. I would be absolutely certain to put off this notion that you have to have a commercial demo. I think that is BS. I think it's a ridiculous mindset that you have to have a commercial demo. I think it's great to have one, but I don't think you have to have one. I think it's really fun. Commercial work pays well by the minute. If you look at how much money you can make, or by the second of work. It's gratifying for a lot of voice actors. It's really sort of fun to hear your voice on radio or TV. I'm not a voice actor, but when I hear things that I've directed or participated in, or even just things that come from our own studio, and when I hear them online or on air, or online, if it's like a Facebook ad or something, it's exciting. Like, my family knows that if we're in the car and I hear something, I say, quiet everyone, like, and I crank the radio and I listen to the commercial. And that's really exciting, but you don't have to get into commercials. And a lot of voice actors who are established in the industry will say, you have to have a commercial demo. That is, I repeat, BS. You don't have to have, if you don't want to narrate commercials, then don't have a commercial demo. If you not want to narrate audiobooks, then have an audiobook demo. That's if all you want to narrate are audiobooks, then all you need is an audiobook demo. Anyone, show of hands, where am I in terms of top 10? I have no idea whatsoever. I think no one's counting. Maybe no one's listening anymore. I don't know.
People are like, ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, wait. So Dave Thomas, uh, we have two more. Two more. Yeah.
um, be confident. Don't get into this industry if you're not comfortable and confident with your speaking voice. That's a big one, a very big one. Be open to just trusting your voice. It's weird when you hear your voice back, played back through speakers, right? Because your voice is processed through the microphone and the equipment, and it just sounds different to you when you hear it back on speakers or on air somewhere. It will sound very different, and a lot of voice actors get thrown off when they hear their voice, especially newcomers, and it concerns them so much that they sort of like are a little scared to speak sometimes, or they feel like they need to adjust their voice. But I guess I said it before, but trust your natural voice. Here's the thing. You may hate the way your voice sounds, but if someone hires you for it, it means that it's appropriate for them. They need that voice. They may personally like it, maybe they personally don't, but they need that voice, so trust it. Um, a huge thing. Make sure you don't try to be, I want to say this differently. Make sure you don't feel as though you have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to offer every kind of voiceover and every genre and every style of performance to every single client. That'd be like that would be like coming out of the gate and being Amazon.com where you offer everything. I mean, it's cool that Amazon is so big and Jeff Bezos is making his billions of dollars, and and I hope that you all make that much money. But to do that from day one, that's it's a pretty far reach. Maybe start small, start in one or two or three areas, and then over the years you can build up, and that's fine. But right from the start, you don't have to be everything to everyone. So if you specialize in factual documentaries and a client wants to do a character piece for a video game, don't feel like you have to say yes. It's okay to say, "Hey, thank you so much for requesting me. That's not my area of expertise. I have give me about 10 minutes or give me a couple of hours. Let me do my research. I'll find some names for you and I'll get right back to you. Let me help you out there." And then let the clients, then you're still helping the client out and the client will always come back to you. Whereas if you just say, nope, can't do it, or you just don't respond to them, that sucks for the client, right? So be responsive, be helpful, and say yes to jobs that you can do and say no to jobs that you don't feel are right for you.
That was so
Okay,
beautiful.
I think that's 10. I'll stop.
That was so beautifully said. And one of my favorite things you just said was you don't have to be everything for everyone. I really think that that's an important thing to carry into 2021. I also want to, if people were like hearing all that stuff and they were like, well, David said the words make sure a lot, for like, make sure your life is like this. And maybe you could encourage uh, developing your life to be like developing a thick skin so that you can take criticism, or reframing your life to fit these kinds of things, so like that may not be happening in this moment, but looking towards the future where you are those things and you're becoming those things. That's what training is for. That's what consultations are for, to
Mhm.
determine how you can ultimately make sure that um, we are works in progress, some of us at the beginning of our journeys.
This is
Um,
why everyone needs a Siobhán on their side, guys.
yeah, yeah. Make sure you have a Siobhán right away, though. That's a funny thing. When I was I'm sorry about this power drill. A COVID castle outside, of the restaurant downstairs, here in New York in Manhattan, it got hit by a truck yesterday in this tiny narrow street in Soho. So the whole thing went down. Like that little, the whole, yeah, it was really, thankfully it was the morning, so no one was inside of it. But they're rebuilding the exterior of the restaurant that they built for people to eat outside. So
Good thing you
chaos.
live upstairs.
I know.
Seriously. A ground floor apartment would suck right about now.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, it was the one in the street, because these little, New York is wild. So, David, there's a few questions this way that I want to that I think are important because people are asking about them, and I think people are echoing it. And I've also experienced this when I'm. It's not even for an audition, but literally for a client where the script is not great. They're run-on sentences. It's really hard to make the sentence work with an appropriate breathing. It's just hard to do the thing. And so what Dina has here, and I don't know, let's see if we can turn it into a top 10. But so she says, sometimes scripts are overwritten, too much text. Submit within time, even if you sound like you are rushing. I have done this. She says she's talking about scripts that are truly too long, absolutely not doable in time. So, David, can we talk about top 10 ways to deal with scripts of this nature, whether it's like there's run-on sentences, it's poorly written, you can't do it within time, but can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Dina, great question. I want to begin this by sharing a story. And I think that I shared it once on one of these Ask Me Anythings. And if I did, Siobhán, it was probably one of our earlier sessions. What's today, number 44, I think? Yeah, so it may have been like session 5 or 10 if I shared it. Um, I was hired to direct a commercial, an 60-second spot for American Airlines in-flight entertainment systems. And the client and I had worked together for a long time. They trust me to direct. They just send me over the script, and I even select the voice actor. They don't even participate in the script at all. They just like to hear back the final playing before the voice actor leaves. So I would call them on the phone and play it for them, and they'd say, "Fine, good, we're done." So I hire a voice actor, and a guy that I've worked with for a long time. One of the original voices of Hanna-Barbera. This guy is fantastic. And we get the script, and it's really long, like bad long. Dina, perhaps what you're talking about. So we work our rear ends off, and I employ all the techniques I know how to shorten a script. And these are some of the top 10 things we'll talk about. Okay. I do everything I can. He does everything he can with his voice, with editing, creative editing, with digital compression, time compression. The best we can get this thing is like 62 or 63 seconds. Like it just can't go anymore. Like it just sounds ridiculous if it goes any faster. So we call the client. We're like, look, dude, it's like 62 seconds. We just can't get it down to 60. And the client said, the client said something like 62. What do you mean try to get it down to 60? I said, yeah, well, we can't get it down to 60. He said, this is a 30. This is a 30-second spot. We're like, what? He said, yeah, it's a 30. So we played it for him over the phone. At 62 seconds, he said, holy crap, their client put way too much stuff. This is the ad agency we're dealing with. So he said, our client put way too much stuff. I never even looked at the script. We just passed them on to you. So they had to call the client, and took hours to get a shortened script because they had to go through to the client and through the legal and get some signatures on the script. That's a long script. So here are some of the things that we did to try to shave it down from probably from an 80 down to a 62. Digital editing is your friend. Okay. It's funny. This call opened talking about some of the old equipment before digital. The things I'm about to tell you, we could not have done 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But one way to shorten a script is to take every breath out and then cut the space in half. Okay. That's a great starting point. Take every breath that maybe is a quarter of a second and then cut that space down to half. So every breath you save an eighth of a second. So collectively through a 60-second spot, now you might be saving, 3 or 4 seconds. I mean, it adds up. Next thing, when there are lists of things, you can put them back to back, just move them closer. Third thing, of course, as I mentioned, you can time compress, and that saves a lot. Given leeway, you may be able to contract words. That's great sometimes. Sometimes you can't, but sometimes you can. By the way, don't contract words unless you have buy-in from or approval from the client. And further to that, sometimes you can modify the script if you have to. Again, if you have feedback from the client. What else can you do? Of course, as a voice actor, you can read more quickly. Just make sure your enunciation doesn't suffer as a consequence, because if the word is not decipherable, it defeats the purpose anyway. What I have done in a number of situations, many, many, many times in this situation, is I'll send back an audition to the client with 2 versions, and we'll say, look, 2 versions follow. One is 60 seconds. Okay. And it's fast. And I'll say that in this slate. Take 1 is 60 seconds. We got it at 60 seconds, but man, it's fast. Number 2 is much slower. It seems to be a better pace, but it's 65. If you prefer that pace, we'll have to cut some copy. And then you give them 2 takes. and it shows the client that you care, that you're thinking about the stuff, that you did what they want, you followed their rules. But then they can hear how silly it is. Never say to the client, your script is too long, because that can only be interpreted as an insult. There's no reason to say it like that. Just say, hey, you know what, 60 seconds, it feels fast. So we did one, that's 65, and let me know if you like that tempo more so. I would always reach out to the client if at all possible and say, it seems long, or maybe that's not the nicest thing, but when I read it at 60, it seems pretty fast. Can you take a listen to me over the phone or over Skype or Zoom or Source Connect, however you're connecting, however it is that you will connect with them, and let them hear it. But the problem is, very often you can't get in touch with the client, whether you don't have the end client's name or their information, or they're not available at that moment. Maybe it's gone through an agent. So getting back to one of the top 10s we had earlier, dealing with an agent, be comfortable and open with your agent and reach out to them and say, hey, it seems long, or again, it seems too fast when I read it at 60, or when I read it at 30. What would you like me to do? May I offer 2 takes, one at 30 and one at 35, which seems to be a better tempo. Once again, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not keeping track of where I am on these things, but this is a common problem in our industry. In a moment, I'll tell you why it's so widespread in our industry. But know that it happens to virtually every voice actor, and just be comfortable dealing with it. Never sweat it out. Never be, sweating in your studio thinking, gosh, how am I going to get to 60? It's never going to be 60. I'm going to lose the audition. It's going to sound too fast. Don't go through that. More than likely, other people are auditioning and they're all going through the same hardship. Okay. Just be comfortable with the problem, offer a solution to the client. The reason why this is a problem is because a lot of inexperienced copywriters will write the script and will read it back to themselves, not out loud. So when they time the script, they're reading it to themselves, and we read much more quickly when we read to ourselves rather than reading out loud. So that's one of the biggest reasons why this happens. Another reason why it happens is because sometimes someone will do a word count, but there may be lots of words that take a long time to say, and that's not being accounted for, especially numbers. So if you put the text of the script into a word counter, an online word counter, like an app or something, we have one at edgestudio.com in the resource section. If you have the number, if a car price is $27,952.85, in numerical form, that looks like one word, but really that's like 9 words. That's 3 seconds right there, right? 2-3 seconds. So sometimes the word counters are off. There are a bunch of reasons why this might happen. Okay. Again, I don't know if I'm at number 10 or not.
Dina is good, and she is like shocked you could turn that into a top 10. That was truly, you're flying, David. And like, truly, this AMA, it is 152 on the East Coast right now. Like, you have like so much so that I don't even know. Okay, let's do one more,
Okay.
David? Because this one's from Donald. What is up, Donald? Everybody, you guys are so great. Everyone's looking so good. Also, if you gallery to look at Amy Joy Warner's studio, she does have a tree in the booth.
Wait, where are you, Amy? Can you wave your hand so I can find you more quickly?
Yeah,
Oh, there you are. Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that sweet? I know. It's really, and look, you're making everybody happy right now. It just made my day. I put it in the
So,
chat.
and,
I was like,
and here's the cool thing about that, Amy, right? So she has, instead of drinking, which is, you can't really have too much to drink, right? Alcohol before you record, because you'll slur your words, right? So she has the other spirits in her studio. She has holiday spirits. So it's nice.
we all need some kind of spirits. Look at Tim.
Sorry. Definitely don't ask for top 10 jokes of David, because you'll be bored.
Actually, David, you've been doing pretty well today. People are laughing at your jokes. It's good. It's good. Okay, so Donald is asking, ooh, yeah, this is top 10 connection options among clients for phone patchers and directed sessions. Or if there are not 10, what are the top ways to offer your connects for recording?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will not be able to answer it fully. I'll tell you all of the connections that I am familiar with, but there are so many out there. This would be a really interesting thing for the chat. Like if other people on this Ask Me Anything know others, um, And I want to point out something. So here I am, supposedly, well, owner of Edge Studio. I should know all of this technical stuff, and I'm very comfortable saying I don't know all the technical stuff. I don't know every option out there. And this is the as I was saying it, I was thinking like this is what I'm telling you guys to do. Be comfortable with questions. Be comfortable asking questions to a client. I gave an example earlier, like "Yeah, I should know how to pronounce that word, but sorry, I forgot. Or I forgot to how to pronounce the client's name. It's okay to not know everything. You don't have to be everything to everyone. It's all really important to know. Just accept it. Accept, who you are and just move on with it and do the best you can. So here are the ones that I know. Okay. Telephone. It's still used very often to connect with clients. Even that last example I gave about the American Airlines in-flight commercial, that particular client, I'll call on the phone at the end of a session, just a regular phone, and say, listen to it. And wherever the client is, they'll answer it and just listen on their phone. Done. We don't have any fancy anything. Skype is still used at times. Skype is hard for a lot of voice actors. Skype is very hard to interconnect into your studio. It can get very wonky at times. Source Connect is fantastic. IPDTL is great. Odalgo has sort of like an IPDTL built into their software, which is really, really great. That's a shout out to Armin, the owner. I'm trying to think what else Zoom. Some clients use Zoom when there are lots of people online. That's been more common during COVID, of course. Nothing else is coming to mind except for ISDN, which is really no longer in existence in most of the world. ISDN sort of went away a number of years ago, more officially, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was pretty much completely out in New York City. I think financial institutions and medical facilities may still use it. I don't know. But for a while, it was only those two types of organizations and studios that used it, as far as my understanding is. So yeah, I think that was like 6 maybe. And that's where I draw a blank.
I figured that would be hard to get to the 10. There is some podcasting. I've done some demos, not some demos, some recording with some direction via some kind of podcasting program through a desktop. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There are. I mean, yeah, and lots of software has it. Like I think Adobe has something built in. I wouldn't be surprised if Citrix has something built in. There are lots of options out there. There's lots of connectivity things for options for video editing, which also will have an audio component to them. We've had clients bring some in over the years, quite a few of them, but I just don't know what they are offhand. So I'd say currently the most popular ones in voiceover, the popular professional ones are IPTTL and Source Connect. I think that those might be the 2 most common ones right now.
I just want to say that Michael just put in the chat, this is the most I've written notes. What a way to end the year. And I'm so, so, so happy to share this Thursday afternoon with you all. Once again, session, I think 44 or 45. That means just like definitely old enough to live a mature, responsible life at this point. Making good choices. I'm old enough to do it. So, if you're really interested in thinking about your future choices, I highly recommend Tom Deer's class this weekend. It is the voiceover resolutions, and it's all about getting yourself together for the new year. So paying for a class like that is probably well worth the investment, which I highly recommend. Additionally, we, of course, if you're looking at your future and if you're totally, totally, totally new, Investigate VoiceOver is the place to begin. As we always say, it is where you can get started with a 3-hour session, not unsimilar to this. If you've never booked any coaching sessions here at Edge Studio, this Ask Me Anything code will get you a coaching session with you could get it with Tom, you could get it with me to do your online branding and social media labors. If you want to do with David, we've got a specific David link right here to coach with him to get more top 10 fun times when you seek his consultation. If you're like still trying to figure things out, please do remember that we have a free resource center. You have to have a password and login. You got to make that, but it won't hurt you to do. And we want to offer as much as we possibly can while also still keeping our doors open, so we have to charge money for some things. But with that said, we will continue doing our Ask Me Anythings in the new year. We are taking, because holidays are kind of crazy, and then we want people to sort of, get back in the mode. We won't be here again until the 13th. That's basically a month. That's just because of holiday time, New Year's Eve, then the week, then that Thursday, settling back right after it's just a lot. So our education director was like the 13th it is, so that's when we'll see you again. Truly, it was really amazing to watch David. This is the most David has really, I think, fully I mean, we usually banter, but David just like plowed through lists, which I think is one of his secret powers. When it's like, what number? I'm like, I don't know numbers. David knows numbers. But David, any last words from you at the end of our time today?
Yeah, have an awesome holiday, everyone. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining the VO community with us. It's wonderful to be able to participate with all of you.
Thank you for participating and being so fun. Oh my gosh, people, this is the best one yet. David is so smart. David, you are so smart, and we really appreciate this. Happy
Wow, can I
holidays.
write that? I want to put that on my website somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I'll screen grab that for you, David. But definitely, everybody take. Hey, you know, I got my booster shot yesterday and I've lived to tell the tale. So here's to a future of safety and happiness and seeing each other again in person sometime soon. Please, whatever you celebrate, be well and be safe. And we'll be thinking of you and we'll be missing you. And come say hi to me on the socials because that's where I will be. And otherwise, we will post this video this weekend so you can look back on the great words and wisdom of David Goldberg. David, thank you for your time and good energy. Everyone, be well. Your faces are totally beautiful, and let's all aspire to have, you know, Amy Joy Warner energy into our future. Terry knows. Terry's like nodding. He's like, me too. That's what I want to. Okay, mwah. Bye, everybody. Be well.
Thank you,
Happy
Siobhán.
holidays.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.